Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. We move into December in the wccw World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. December 4th, 1982 is where we are currently. We will close out the year with a bang, but we're building to that closeout. The spoiler is returning here after several months away, and he is affiliated with Hart and Hussein Unlimited. He talks about that being where the money is, and he'll go wherever the money's at. Nice whitish silver, white and black, almost silverish mask on the spoiler. Very basic promo, but he has been around the territory for several years, has a multi-year affiliation with Hart, so I don't think it's necessarily too uncommon for him to be in that position. But we see the spoiler move into a match with Roberto Renesto against the spoiler here. Of course, Darn Jardine, famous for making the rope walk that The Undertaker later implemented a major thing, and also one of the more decorated masked wrestlers in the territories. Very basic match here, knee lifts and, basic maneuvers. Spoiler is out here kind of sans any management, so maybe trying to throw a red herring at Hart and Hussein, we'll see, but still heelish, using those tactics and actually pulling his opponent up off the mat here. Renesto does get some offense, punches and elbows and the like, but nothing major, and has difficulty getting the bigger masked star off his feet. It is amazing to me that just something as simple as a knee lift can be a cutoff. Now we see everybody do flip flops and flies everywhere, but that is not the case here. Anyway, we move into the spoiler using the turnbuckles and just whatever he can to get an advantage, which is understandable, and while I necessarily wouldn't say admirable, certainly understandable. Pulls the man up after the buckle shot and takes things to Hart here. It's amazing too that again, I've said it even earlier in many previous audios, but just the art of selling and the art of facial expression has been so lost in the current sport, in terms of, you scowl and you grimace and it's uncomfortable, and that comes across here with the spoiler, even with a mask. He climbs the ropes and kind of uses, I guess, what would be a modified springboard, might be the wrong term, but uses the ropes as an extra added piece of leverage to hit a diving forearm drop there, and big man walks the ropes and hits it again, and hits an elbow drop and gets the victory over Renesto. We then see something relatively rare, easy for me to say, as we see the little people, then known as midgets, not a politically correct term today, but was politically correct in the 70s and 80s. But anyway, we see Hillbilly Pete facing off against Little Coco. Of course, at this point, the little people, along with the women, were considered touring acts for his body style. Pete looks like he's in good shape. Little Coco also looking to represent himself well. Obviously, this is, predominantly here for comedy. Let's be real; it's not necessarily meant to be anything major. We see the butt attack, the Coco butt attack by Little Coco, and Pete not afraid to cheat using the hair and just other very basic things. The falling bit, the Pete actually landing on the referee, and the referee getting agitated. Just the whole thing meant for comedy, good for kids. We're 3 weeks from Christmas here, a little bit more than that. So maybe they're in town to help the holiday cards, the old the age-old wives' tale, and I think it was Paul Bosch that said there's an excuse for every reason you don't draw, but the real reason you don't draw is because you didn't give them what they want to see. But there's an age-old December never draws, right? And I remember being in the Independence, and the summer never draws because it's too hot. The winter never draws because of the snow. The spring never draws because kids are occupied with school, and the fall never draws because they're going back to school. I've heard all that before. So anyway, but the little people have a compelling match here, and the fans seem to enjoy it a bit, and we move into that match. They get maybe 5 minutes. That's really all they need. Although there was at a point the midget world title held by Little Tokyo. This is not a match for that. Actually, just a roll up, I think, is the primary victory. Referee getting involved in that process as well, but it's nonetheless an entertaining process. And again, what I like about the little people too is on top of doing comedy spots, they can wrestle quite a bit. Short lariat, no pun intended, by Pete that in the proximity of had he been a larger guy, it still would have been just as devastating and just as punishing. So that's there as well. I think a lot of times the comedy of the little people wrestlers lost in or the athletic ability lost because of the comedy. Shoulder tackle from the second rope by little Coco is the way to get the victory there. Pete not so happy about that, and then we go on a field trip of sorts. We go duck hunting with the Von Erichs. That would not play well today with various animal rights organizations, but in Texas in 1982, hunting was a major activity, and I am sure that in a holiday season where extra content is needed, hunting with the Von Erichs seemed like a perfectly fine explanation for ways to use television time, but we see them shooting at ducks and the like, and then we go back to the arena for Great Kabuki versus Al Madril. And when I say it's all the boys, all the Von Erich boys, and Fritz. So just kind of really driving home the family aspect of things. Then we go back to Great Kabuki and Al Madril. Madril and Kabuki actually have been mainstays for this program for the 1982 year, and why change it here in December? Very basic match. Madril uses his power and wrestling acumen, although martial arts with sweeps and kicks by Kabuki certainly are challenging for Madril throughout the duration of the contest. And we actually do see a pole in the corner. I believe this is the same tape. Well, maybe not. No, that doesn't make sense because the taping for the championship match between Flair and Von Erich in a cage is in a different arena than the normal television arena. So the pole in the corner might have signified something different in this particular broadcast, or maybe it's a lighting trick and I'm seeing something that isn't there. Regardless, lots of back and forth, nerve holds by Kabuki with chin locks and all of that. Several minutes of back and forth. Arman Hussein tries to come in but does not get the result he wants. Kabuki manages to dodge a tackle in the corner and uses his shin-crushing hold. Referee stoppage from that, and Kabuki is your victor here. We move on to a couple of interviews. Firstly, Kerry Von Erich talks about teaming with Brian Adidas, family friend, who is a relatively newcomer in his first year of full-time competition, training for a couple of years, journeyman wrestler, but Kerry and Brian teaming up as friends, almost like getting the Von Erich rub or the Von Erich endorsement, going to help him to become a more complete wrestler, perhaps, or something of that nature. And talks about wanting to win the six-man tag team championships. Talks about wanting to win the All-Asian tag team championships, the regular tag team championships, whatever the case may be. There is talk here of the Magic Dragon and the Checkmate as tag team partners, and also Checkmate and Dragon do close the program with Kerry Von Erich and Brian Adias as their opponents. So that is the main event of the evening. And Arman Hussein happy with this investment, happy with this process. Interesting that the interview must have been taped on a different day because the mask worn by Magic Dragon is very different. And so that's interesting that would be the case. But again, Kerry Von Erich out there. Also out here is King Kong Bundy, who officially denounces Hart and Hussein International, calls himself a free agent. I believe this is the promo where he formulates Devastation Incorporated. If not, it is the next time we see Mr. Bundy, but very close at hand here by a week or so. So Devastation Incorporated, basically King Kong Bundy's name for himself at this point, later becoming a stable in world-class lore, but not here. Adias and Checkmate start out very basic wrestling holds of a head scissors type maneuver, body scissors sort of thing, holding his own with the international star, and then we see Checkmate breaking the match down to his advantage. This is something that keeps everybody on their toes. We move through the match, and we kind of see Magic Dragon going at it with Adias as well. Kerry also in there and using his power. Weeks away from the biggest match of his career, both literally and figuratively, the cage match with Ric Flair. And we kind of, again, see a very basic match here. Kerry gets the lion's share, especially towards the end of the match, as really getting him ready to be the man to beat Ric Flair. Seems to be a major deal here. What's interesting, though, is the Hart Hussein International conglomerate, even when they're in the ring with Von Erich, never made to look too weak, as Checkmate comes back on Von Erich for several minutes, where it almost looks like he's going to beat Kerry, which what would that have done for Checkmate had he been able to do so? Tag off to Adias, who handles strikes of his own relatively intensely and is able to avenge his partner and a power slam out of nowhere, but Magic Dragon comes in, breaks that up. We have a four-way Donnybrook here, the referee losing control. Don't quite understand the loyalty to Bronco Luvic at the time. Maybe it was just a fact of Bronco being there in the 60s and 70s and not wanting to take him away from major money. I don't really know what that is, but and a victory off a knee drop by Checkmate is enough to gain the victory for Hart and Hussein International as we close the December 4th edition of the program. And we roll on through the rest of December, weeks away, just a couple of weeks away from Kerry and Flair in a cage. So hang out for that. We'll also be doing all of 1983 upcoming, so hang out for that as well. But until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.